Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 3,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 100 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, and that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the January 6th edition of One Nation Radio. I am your host, Rich Latta. Of course, here with my co-host, James Boyd. And joining us today is a special longtime guest of the program, Simon Cotton. Simon, what's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. How you guys doing today?
Chilling, man. James, what's going on, man?
I'm doing all right. I am kind of sleep deprived by like trying to watch all this wrestling that's going on, but yeah, I'm good otherwise.
Yeah, man. So we're here to talk about Wrestle Kingdom 13, a great show overall, and a landmark show like based on the environment of what wrestling may look like in the future. But yeah, overall impressions of the show, Simon.
This would be my third time watching Wrestle Kingdom. The first time was 2 years ago when Kenny Omega and Okada had their match at the Tokyo Dome. And then with this one, I tried my best to wake up in time for it, but I only woke up in time for the last 2 matches with Chris Jericho and Tetsuya Naito and Kenny Omega and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I ended up catching up everything else earlier today, just now. But overall, I thought the show was really good. These Wrestle Kingdoms always deliver. If I were to compare it to the previous 2, I'd say this one is better than 12, but not better than 11. That's just me.
James?
Yeah, I probably agree with that statement about ranking Wrestle Kingdoms. I think, this is my 5th one,
yeah,
right? 9?
Yeah,
So I came in? Yeah,
one.
So this is the first one that I've ever like watched in its entirety without ever like checking out with that itis, because I ate something, just like fell asleep and was like, you know what, this is a well-worked professional wrestling match. However, I'm exhausting, and this is a tag match, so in a juniors tag match. So I'll peace out for now. So for me, I mean, this is one of the highlights of the year for me. Every single year ever since I got into watching New Japan on and off for parachuting in, and this just continues the standard that they've set since I've been lucky enough to come around to watching their product. And I'm happy I'm a fan of watching their stuff because it's excellent.
Yeah, I think I rated this 3rd out of the 5 Wrestle Kingdoms that we watched. I wouldn't put this above 9 and 11. I would put it above 10 and last year. It was just I think it was everything that I was expecting. Like I saw a great main event. I saw, I think there's only like one like real drawback on the show, but I thought Ospreay and Ibushi was amazing. I thought, I was into it. Just the big atmosphere of Wrestle Kingdom. It never fails. Like they don't miss on these. Like so.
Okay, so real quick, is the drawback what we've been talking about, like behind the scenes, off air for like the past day?
Yeah. So
so that drop. Okay, so let's do this on the front.
Well, there's
end, so
two.
Don't say that
there's two for me. Like so.
Okay. So do you want to get into it now?
Yeah. So like a lot of the finishes.
Or do you want to wait till the matches?
Well, no. This kind of applies to a lot of the matches. So
okay.
The only thing that makes me just wonder, what if there was no AEW starting? Would all these matches have played out the same way? That's the only thing that is like, possibly a drawback for me. So,
oh my God, you're about to complain because Kenny lost. That's what you're doing, isn't
it? Not at all.
I can do that if you want me to.
Like not at all. Like he lost in the Classic. Oh well, but like if you look at it, it's like wow, it makes you wonder how much of that was taken into consideration. But
I mean, if I had the book, I would have put it the same way. Like all of you AEW guys or people that are going to have matches there and all this other stuff, y'all all holding these L's, and then like we'll worry about, and then if you come back, we'll build you back up and we'll put you back in rotation.
Right. And like if it was just booking like flat like they had all those dudes, I wonder how all the finishes would have played out. So, and the other is of course Jay White.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. Can we say that until after we get through the Omega match or the Okada match? Because like ultimately, it turned into a huge discussion. It's a discussion about all of us all agreeing that like Jay White is at the very least good, or very good, and then like it goes from, and then it turns discussion on how good he is. So like let's worry about that like once we get to it, because we can talk about that then, as opposed to talking about it twice.
So I guess we can start right at the top, the main event. The Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, challenging Kenny Omega for the IWGP Championship. It's a 5-star match for me. These guys beat the hell out of each other. It was hard-hitting, physical, emotional. When they talk about a big fight atmosphere, I was blown away. This was a masterpiece. As far as, and I hate to say this, storytelling. But it was like, oh my God, a real like legitimate war between these guys. Like, and it felt like less of a wrestling match in a sense, and it was like just like a fight, but in the best wrestling way you can possibly have. So I thought I liked Omega's gears. Entrance was raw as fuck. Tanahashi's like his gear was insane, and I don't know. It's the Ace rides again. It played air guitar with the IWGP Championship. I was so happy for Tanahashi at the time. I was like shocked that Omega lost. It was a lot, But what did you guys think of this?
Well, I was doing a lot of live tweeting during this match, and I don't know how you feel about this comparison, but I was like, if I had to compare this to anything I've seen like other companies, like I feel like this in some way parallels somewhat John Cena like versus CM Punk versus like the old guy who's proving he still got all that stuff, who's trying to come back on top versus this new guy who's pushing all these new different things, but of course with much better wrestling.
Okay, so what iteration of Cena versus Punk? Like, are you thinking more or less like on the way to Rock, or like actually the first match? All right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and the match was incredible, like without a shadow of a doubt. I had just been in preparation for this show. I was watching all of Hiroshi Tanahashi's previous Wrestle Kingdom matches. And
that's fun. That's got to be fun.
It was. There was only really one match that I really didn't care for. It was the first one, but it wasn't a big deal back then.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, he just put on clinic after clinic, and this was just another example. Like, my favorite spot of the night, just because of how crazy it was, just because I know how hard those tables are, is when he's going for the high fly flow through the table. Kenny moves, and he just comes crashing down. Like, because WWE tables are made to break. Those don't look like
these are the strong style Japanese tables.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as Hiroshi Tanahashi winning, like I said, it was kind of comparable to John Cena and CM Punk. And I kind of had a feeling like towards the end, because I never saw Omega land the One Wing Angel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, either he's about to land it and beat him, or Tanahashi's about to get this next high fly flow and win. And that's exactly what happened.
It's funny you compared it to that John Cena rivalry. I was actually talking to Chad about this match, and I was like, I think he was like kind of puzzled, like, you know, why Omega lost, and he's a really big Omega fan as well. And I was like, wow, like imagine if Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23 had beat Cena, essentially, like, and was able to ride one more time, like, and that's like what Tanahashi is right here. And had Shawn Michaels beat John Cena, we would have all lost our minds. Like yes, one more time, fuck that dude or whatever. And then that's kind of, you know, if you're a Tanahashi guy, I think that's a comparable situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
James?
so for me, there are 4 prominent figures in the reason why, like, I have an affinity for New Japan, and number one is obviously Okada. Number 2 is Tanahashi. Number 3 is Kenny. So for me, and I mean honestly, like 2 and 3, they can be interchangeable, right? But 1 is Okada is for me is Okada. But so like to see those 2 in the ring, and you know, you mentioned like the John Cena Shawn Michaels thing, and I think it's interesting. Like I think like that makes more sense if you think as far as the freshness of the acts as opposed to their actual age discrepancy, because
right.
John Cena and you know, they're actually a lot larger separation of ages than Kenny and Tanahashi. But I think the thing for me was this, like the simple storytelling of, I don't like how you wrestle. I don't like how you wrestle. Get off my lawn. You old timers don't know what's going on. You don't know what's new and what's hip and what's going to change the business or whatever else, and what's to take on to a new era. And you know, then you get into the match, and you know, high five flow, and then he gets the knees. Okada gets the knees up at the last possible second, and he's just devastated with the knees in his ribs, and he's hurting. And then Kenny lays out that table. They go outside. They fight. Tanahashi gets the better of outside, and he looks at sees that this fucker laid out this table, and he's going to use it on him or put him through it. And he's like, you know what? I'm sticking to my guns. I don't need to do all that stuff to have this match to beat you. And then we reached a point further and further progressing the match where it's like, desperation, bro. I'm putting you through this table, and I'm about to high five flow your ass through it, and the ace is gonna ride off. And then you know, like him not sticking true to himself in love of desperation is the reason why he went through that risk first, and from there he's just hurting. And you know, like I love the match. I will say with the you mentioned something earlier. I forgot what you mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, but like I just love the match, and like I legitimately got like choked up and felt so ashamed of myself when like Tanahashi started doing the air guitar at the end. I was so happy to see that dude get one more shot, because we think of like all the like legends you grow up watching wrestling or whatever else, and their story, and they get that one more shot run, that sort of deal. And you know, generally speaking, like either they get it and it's cool, and then like they're just around and they're just part of the main event scene forever, but they're never like get a title run. Like to see him get this after this G1, after like he loses to Okada, and you're like, was that Dontaku, right?
Dontaku, yep.
And you're just like, well, this robbery's over. And then you get to the block final, and it's like, holy shit, he just went to a draw with him. And like, not only did he get to a draw with him, he had him beat and was on the top turnbuckle about to finish him off when they hit the 30-minute mark. And then and then they have the match again and puts the contract on the line. He's like, and he beats him. It's like, we got like this dude's like, you know, it's almost like watching like somebody, you know, they just basically reverse the clock. Yeah. And like I just appreciative of the whole story, and like, you know, I feel like if Kenny stays, he'll get the belt back again. That and cool, but like that story was just
it was the right story to tell.
I got caught up in the hype. I loved it.
It was the right story to tell.
Like the last three matches, like the way the crowd were living and dying with Okada, Naito, and at the end Tanahashi, like I just loved it. I was caught up in all three of them.
Yeah, and it was the right story to tell. Like from the G1 final on, it was like, oh my God, the Ace is here one more time, and if you didn't see that or notice it, I was going for Omega, of course. That's my favorite wrestler, but I love Tanahashi too. So there's no loss there. So and I don't know if this is going to be a long run with the belt for Tanahashi, and it seems like that might not be the case. But if it is, you can't say he didn't earn it. You can't say that his performance, that he wasn't one of the 3 or 4 best guys in the world over the past year. He just came to play all year. When you talk about pulling people in with your matches, that's what Tanahashi is a master of. And Omega, to his credit, I think these guys met somewhere in the middle, as far as the stuff Omega likes to do during a match and then the stuff that Tanahashi likes to do during a match. These guys kind of blended, the past and the future all in one match.
Yes. I was so scared and upset and then ultimately relieved and appreciative of the fact that they did the Super Dragonplex spot. Or the Dragon Superplex spot, but he actually released and flipped him over because we all remember that spot from the first Okada Omega match. And I was just that's the dumbest shit ever. If he had broke his neck, what the fuck you gonna do then, right? So to see Kenny can also adapt and not feel like he has to try to murder somebody to get a match over. I appreciated that too. And Kenny was great and was game and he was obviously this was. He's on a run now with these last 3 Tokyo Dome matches where it's just he's one of those guys that say what you want, talk about how I'm a weirdo I'm too much of a video game nerd or I might not translate to an American audience if I got WWE-ized or whatever else. Regardless of what happens from this point forward, you can always go into the net. You can always go on YouTube or go on New Japan Network or whatever else, or New Japan World, and pop on these last 3 G1 runs. That dude is a legend. Period.
Flat out. And I think with Omega, I guess, New Japan won't be ruined now. And it's all saved, for, the awful Kenny Omega who was just killing the business,
House of Tennis is granted, yes, I think critically his thing hasn't been as good as we all would have liked it to be before this show. Right. However, the business didn't cave in. It's still Kenny freaking Omega. He's still one of the top 4 guys. He's still one of the top 4 most over guys amongst that crew, and he's clearly in that top tier of the 4. So, it's always for me, you can put it on Tanahashi, Okada, Naito, or Kenny, and that's always the right choice because it's one of those top 4, and they've been protected that far. Now, if we turn this situation to where the top 4 turns to a top 5, and I'm going to have real concerns about who I think this first person is going to be, unless this person turns it around, and we'll get to that. But I just never bought that alternative thinking of Kenny Omega is not a good champion or Kenny Omega is bad for business in New Japan. I just never bought it. Did you not? I'm sorry. Did you not see how much they are trying to get into the the domestic North American marketplace? Do you not see what him versus Jericho did for their business as far as the streaming? Do you not see how they've even gone further this year into North America and how they're expanding into other Western territories for big shows? That's a lot of that is due to Kenny. Now, if you don't like Kenny, fine, just say you don't like him. He can absolutely be a prick at times, and he plays heel when there's reason not for him to be a lot of times. However, you can't tell me that dude ain't dope. I'm sorry. That's yes, he's an asshole, but so is CM Punk, and it can be both. You can be good. Or it can be 3 things. You can be good. You can be not as good as what you thought it could be, and it can still be fine. It's okay for things just to be okay, or in the case of this version of okay, selling more tickets at Tokyo Dome than the prior year. I don't get it.
And on that note, I'm looking at some of the tweets I sent out during the main event. Until Wrestle Kingdom 13, no Gaijin or foreigner had ever appeared in 2 Wrestle Kingdom main events, except for Kenny Omega, nor had one ever defended the World Championship at the event. So that right there shows how highly they think of him. Like, they wouldn't just give that spot to anybody.
Get down or lay down.
I mean, if it leaves, it looks like they may give it to just anybody. But anyway, we can move on.
Ooh, boy. Yeah. So, all in all, excellent match between Omega and Tanahashi. Instant classic. I think Meltzer's going over 5 on it.
You think he's going to go over 5?
Yeah, he pretty much admitted it on Observer Radio when someone asked him a question.
Okay.
They were
for all this talk about how he I've given all these matches 5 or over 5 stars for 20 years now. It's like, okay, where are your 5 1/4 matches then, Dave? Like, there are no such thing as 5 1/4. You usually give that shit 5, and if it's better than 5, then you go to whatever, 5 1/2, 5 3/4, 6, 7. So I'm waiting to see that 5 1/4. That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, so maybe you'll get it. Maybe it'll be. I think he's going to go 5.5 personally. So
that's what I felt too.
So
okay,
but yeah, the semi-main event or double main event 1, as they called it. Chris Jericho defending.
Let's not do this. Are we calling these double main events just because Jericho's in them? Is that what is really going on?
I guess
we doing WWE logic now?
No, yeah, that's it was a thing last year too. So it was like,
I know,
double main event 1,
remember?
And then double main event 2, which is actually the actual main event is double main event 2. So, Tetsuya Naito defeated Chris Jericho in a no DQ match to win back the IWGP Intercontinental title, the title that just keeps finding its way around his waist or up in the air, or and for Naito fans, this has to be bittersweet. Like, it's like, damn, the road to redemption went through that belt that guy hates, his character. Blah, blah, blah.
You got the silver medal. Congratulations.
Oh man, don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, man, I thought this was incredible as well. This was probably my favorite Naito match, along with actually, no, it's not. This is one of my 3 favorite Naito matches. The other 2 being the G1 final against Kenny Omega in 2017, and then the A block in 2017 where he wrestled Kota Ibushi. But
okay.
Yeah, Jericho was incredible in this. Like, I wrote in my preview ahead of time, Jericho will never be outperformed at any age. It's just it's not happening. Like, it doesn't matter that he's fat. It doesn't matter that he isn't in the shape that it looks like he should be in. Bro,
it doesn't matter that man.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter that man got that plug in the back of his system. That man clearly is the plug now.
Really,
clearly is the plug.
Really.
Oh yeah, you can see the scalp. Never mind. Like, you can see like where his head is still was like his scalp is still red from like it being done in the back. Like, that man's clearly the plug back there. Good for him. He got enough money. Why not?
Yeah, long hair Jericho is back.
And like the second, and he had that shot. He had that Shawn Michaels mini ponytail deal from that keeps the top together. And then, like, literally the second that it came loose, like he was wrestling through that match, the progression where it kept getting looser and looser and looser.
Tied it
and
up.
then, like, the very second that man, like, it came loose, he wrapped it back up in the middle of that match and then went back to wrestling, like, all together.
That
like,
shit was hilarious.
I see you, Chris. I see you.
It was a great street fight. I thought Naito looked like he was ready to get rid of this motherfucker that had tormented him for like a year straight, beat him with a belt, power drive him on the fucking stage and drop him right on his damn head.
That was off rip.
Off rip. Like, it wasn't planned. I went 4 3/4 on this match as well.
Yeah, that's where I ended up. Yeah.
Simon, any thoughts on Naito getting the belt back and getting this big win over Jericho and Jericho's performance?
Well, I already think I said everything I really needed to say with my silver medal comment. But overall, because he had a much better match than he had when he wrestled Suzuki and won that title back after the Dome last year. But I still have a similar feelings like, okay, you got something, but this ain't what people wanted you to get. It's cool you got something, but it's like, so. But overall, the match was great. Chris Jericho continues to amaze me. Just what he's able to do, despite what many would consider past his prime or everything, all the other usual comments you would expect. He's almost like far from that, or at the very least, he knows when to. He knows where to put himself. He knows what to do. What he's not going to be able to do now. So, and it still amazes me that he just was getting this quality of match.
I think Jericho is like he's a perfect example for WWE. These guys always kind of have to be who they were. And Jericho constantly changes, and he shows that he can be a top star no matter where he's at and perform on a level that's just unrivaled for anyone in his class, essentially. Triple H included at this point.
Yeah.
It's like
go ahead, sorry.
He could, for some reason, I guess just WWE didn't want to push him as a top star anymore, and then he found a foolproof exit strategy, and I feel like he's bigger than ever. He's forcing people to go back on his legacy and be like, wow, maybe he wasn't just the next Shawn Michaels. Maybe he was never that in the first place. Maybe he was his own man the whole time. And he's had, there's an argument to be made. He's had a better career than Shawn Michaels. That he's had a better career than, a lot of contemporary top guys in WWE. And just seeing what he continues to produce at this age and the way he's going, it's like, well, when do we expect this to slow down? He can do this forever at this rate.
If Crown Jewel wouldn't happen, I don't know if I could go with you there about him being better than Shawn Michaels. I
think the thing for me is, I think that Jericho was able, because he left and kept coming back. He was able to parachute into softer landing spots to stay fresh and to reach the, I guess for lack of a better word, reach the 2002 comeback era of his career, which if he's Shawn Michaels, that era faster, and get into I can more or less be put into programs, and I'm always going to have a direction and a push as far as my television and who I'm going to wrestle, whether it's whether it's Edge or it's Mysterio or it's Shawn or whoever, or it's CM Punk, and I can stay fresh. And I think he kind of figured out that game longer, as opposed to banging his head against the wall and getting overexposed and getting burnt out and feeling like Ziggler or anybody else has been overexposed and is amongst the mid and been pushed down to the mid card, and there's nothing dynamic going on for long stretches of time. Now, as far as this match, I thought this match was great. I'm with you. I had it at 4 3/4. I love the fact that New Japan is so different that everybody brings something to the table that's different and style stand out. So that Saber Ishii match is so much different from the Tanahashi Omega match in the Okada Jay White match. And also this match, those two matches, or the Okada match, is basically a great WWE singles match with a heel manager that has to eat shit at different times in the match. And then this match, it's more of a WWE style match where there's a clear progressive line of what's going on. The babyface is furious. He attacks him from behind. He lays him out. He shines early. Jericho is able to get the advantage, and then he starts using weapons, right? By using that kendo stick. So he starts beating the piss out of Naito with the kendo stick. Then all of a sudden, Naito gets the kendo stick, and he beats the piss out of him. He's showing all the charisma with the baseball swings and stuff, and everything else. And then next thing you know, Jericho takes over. I forgot what he did to take over from the kendo stick, but he ends up looking at kendo stick that's not enough. Time to progress to these chairs. They start doing all the chair play and stuff, and then they start trading moves or whatever, or trading finishers, kick out sequences or whatever else. And then Jericho says, enough is enough. I have the advantage, but like I clearly can't put this dude away with just a chair. And then my move, my code breaker, I am going to have to escalate to something else. And what does it escalate to from after a chair? The Intercontinental title, which brings it all into focus as far as like what this is all about. As far as both of them is like, I took this from you. I've been beating your ass from different places for months. I beat your homeboy up too. And I understand this is the thing that you actually find to be a curse or whatever else, or a demotion. But eventually what ends up saving him is the fact that like Jericho goes to hit him with the Intercontinental title. But Naito has a presence of mind as he's getting up and is about to be doomed to see that like, oh yeah, those turnbuckles are still exposed. Slide under flapjack, eat a Destino. He kicks out, but okay, I got something for you. I'm going to grab this fucking thing that I've hated forever, and then I'm going to bash across your head, and I'm going to give you a Destino, and I'm going to win. And now I enjoy it because it got me. I have an appreciation for it because for one time it actually gave me some bit of joy to bash this fucker's skull in. So I loved it.
Is that going to be his gimmick from now on?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, but like, I mean, we don't know what his relationship is going to be with this belt, but I think that it would be wise for him to actually like really care about this belt now because it helped him vanquish this foe.
Yeah,
that was such a thorn in his side and like fucked up, and a huge part of fucking up his 2018.
Yeah, yeah, excellent match, and I think this is going to do wonders for Naito, like as far as, you know, being involved with the Chris Jericho in a long program and coming out looking better in the aftermath of it. So, yeah.
My question, I mean, I will say this though, like, I'm not enthused with his New Year's Dash deal and what we find out as his next opponent. I'm not enthused.
Right, yeah.
But because honestly, for me, it was like, cool. Now, what can we do for you to drop this belt at Dominion, and so we can get you to win this G1, so we can get you to Wrestle Kingdom, to now get at Wrestle Kingdom 14, get what you should have gotten last year. That was my thought. But then I'm looking at like, great, him versus Naito. I'm not enthused.
I don't know if I was something about it. It was like, when I looked that up, when you suggested it in the group, I was like, this is no better than when Daniel Bryan fought Kane.
Damn.
Dude, what do I want to say? Oh, yeah. So I found out by looking at your message and then like, who's his opponent? So now I go to Twitter to find out who his opponent is, and I saw Tai Chi trending, and I was like, no, it can't be. It cannot be this opera singer or this pop singing ass nigga. It cannot be him. No. And sure enough,
yeah.
So I know obviously he can run. He can be serious. He can be shooter Tai Chi like shooter Yano. But like,
you had a good match with Will Ospreay.
Do not goof this up.
Yeah. Don't do it, Gato. Don't do it.
I don't want no shenanigans. I do not want shenanigans.
Now we gonna do it. Jay White in a shocker defeats Kazuchika Okada in just under 15 minutes. First of all, it was an Okada match that only went 15 minutes. I didn't know they made those.
It went like 14 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yeah.
14:20 to be exact.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know they made those, James. Like
Same here. Same here.
So
even Cody Rhodes at the G1 in Long Beach got to like 30.
Man. So Jay White came out. He looked like a superstar. He was dressed like in all white. You know, like Seth Rollins, like, you know, the good guys wear white, the stars wear white on big shows.
Andrade at takeovers.
Right. Like, it is always cool to see wrestlers bust out their all white attire. That usually means it's like some type of special occasion.
It's a coming out party. Yeah. Bayley at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, at Brooklyn 1. The New Day at SummerSlam 2015. It's like, this is a moment that I've arrived. And look, he has arrived. However, he arrived, but he didn't bring the charisma with him. So.
Yeah. I thought, and of course, James, The pants are gone. Like, Kazuchika Okada, after one whole year of build, the longest build and most satisfying build of the show, Okada came out there dressed like the Rainmaker with the regular music. He wasn't out of his fucking mind anymore. He was...
no more balloon,
no more balloons. He has his hair dyed back the right color, and he comes to the right color. The right color, exactly. And he came out there with the jacket looking like, you can't buy one of those. I don't know where he gets one of those. It was amazing. And then he has like the long skirt, and I was like, okay, is he wearing the pants? Is he going to do this? Then he whips off the battle skirt, and then he's got the shorts underneath, and then the whole Tokyo Dome gasps. James, like, Simon? And I was like, oh my God, the Rainmaker is here. And they cut to Gato, and Gato looked shook. And I was like, yes, fuck this man up, Okada, let's go. Unfortunately, it's not what happened, but Okada was excellent in this match. I gave this a 4.5 simply on his performance alone. It was like Jay White was there with him. They had a good match, but it's Okada. It's not good enough, Chief. Mm-hmm. James, Simon, what you think of this shocking development? He beat the man with his finish. 1, 2, 3, clean in the middle.
Jay White came back from excursion last year.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he came back at Wrestle Kingdom. He fought Tanahashi for the Intercontinental Championship, and a month or so later, he wins the U.S. title from Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
I wasn't really impressed with him through that entire stretch. Like, his biggest moment to me was his match with Juice Robinson for the U.S. title. Yep. And even then, that wasn't really a moment. Right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But even then, that's not this huge moment where it's like, okay, this is the guy I want to see take that next step or become the next foreigner to be the top guy. It was more so, okay, you had this one great match. Now let's see your next one. So for the longest time, I just felt like Jay White has been someone who needs a lot more time, a little bit more time, whatever it's going to take to get him there. And with him beating Okada, that was not something I was anticipating. And I really want to know what this means going forward, because just like you said, this is the Rainmaker. This ain't Balloon Man. I'm depressed. I'm out of my mind. This is the guy who main evented the Tokyo Dome, was the world champion for 720 days, the longest reigning champion in the company's history. So
this is a person that was voted 4th for greatest wrestler in Japan last year, behind only Inoki, and I'm trying to think. I can't remember who else was. The only person I know for sure was Inoki was on the list. He's on that level. It may have been Baba or whatever else, but whatever. Yeah. So I guess I have to say this on the front end. I'm also going to say this on the back end so people can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. This was a great match. I gave the match 4 1/4. 4 1/4. The thing for me is I watched this show, and or the last 3 matches in particular, because those are the 3 biggest matches. And I see Okada, I see Naito, I see Jericho losing his mind at points, and looking at pointing the kendo stick at Masahiro Chono and saying, "You like that shit, Chono?" Which is keeping up with the tradition of annoying Chono during Wrestle Kingdom matches now.
Yes.
And I see Kenny, I see Kenny just, and I see Tanahashi, at all, and showing all this charisma and energy and everything and desperation, and being able to quote unquote, in the old school sense of being able to emote to where you can see it from the nosebleeds or the cheap seats, as they call it. And then I see Switchblade and Jay White, whichever one you want to call him, and he can keep up with Okada. He's a good wrestler. He's Like he has a great size and all that stuff. But as far as him being able to and also this is also specifically speaking as someone who's playing heel too, like in an era in New Japan in this era where we're more focused on personalities and they can be heal up at certain stints in matches or for feuds and then kind of play the middle ground, and most people are more towards the middle than actually on one end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And he's clearly playing heel. There's nothing in his demeanor that's really unlikable as more as he's just a bland guy that's just there. And I'm talking from a character perspective of trying to get over what's the emotion of a match. And like his facial expressions are just dead. Like he does the throat slash thing or whatever else, but even he does that without making a face. And like, there's never a sense of I need to pick this up, or I'm in trouble, or I got this, or there's no showboating, there's no desperation. Like it just feels like he's really muted right now, and I don't know why. Because, granted, I'm not a person that watches the New Japan product like Jeremy or Josh at Keepin It Strong Style. And Josh is, we've been talking about this, and he believes that like he's maybe the best promo in the company right now, especially amongst the English speakers. But for me, like if he's that good of a promo, when I know what Zack Sabre Jr. is doing and I know what Kenny is doing, if he's that kind of and Jericho, of course, if he's that kind of promo, then how is it that like that energy translating from his facial expressions and also like what he does in matches? I felt like he was just going through the motions in a match, and that's fine because he's a good ass wrestler. But what else do you have here to get over the emotion of these matches? Like I felt like he was so lucky to be in the ring with Okada at a point where, like, I mean, look, this is my fifth Wrestle Kingdom show. This is the first damn time that I believe this also speaks to the work that Josh has told me that he's done his character, and also like the storytelling they've done with Okada's transformation and journey back to being the Rainmaker and all that. Is that when Okada came out, that was the biggest pop and the most cheered I've ever heard him in the Tokyo Dome ever. And I felt like Jay White didn't capitalize on that at all to use that to his advantage to get over what he's trying to do. As far as from a character standpoint and going on in the future, like he took the spinning Rainmaker and then he got picked up to go get another one, and then he counted out of it and gave his sister Abigail to Okada and pinned him 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle. And I felt like that's a flat finish. And then I rewatched it. I thought again, that's not a flat finish, but like it wasn't a flat finish. It's a flat performer.
Right. And New Japan is a great, I've said this before, New Japan, primarily the appeal, they are a great match promotion. And when I say great match, I mean all-time great match, like from that top mix. And when you're trying to break into that mix and you're not scoring on that level, right? It's like he's a 19 point per game scorer trying to masquerade as like a 27, 28 point. He's messing with those guys essentially. Mm-hmm. And
he's Rudy Gay.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm concerned New Japan falls off a cliff critically with him in there doing, being put on top.
I mean, if they lose enough guys over time, like if the trajectory, if you say like, okay, we lose Kenny this year or next year or the year after that for whatever reason, eventually Tanahashi will get too old for this shit because he's also doing movies. He might be like, look, Cena, I'm okay. I'm taking the Cena route. Okay, right. Yeah, holla, I got movies to make. I'm cutting my hair again. I'll holla at y'all. So, you run the risk. I mean, look, you got Ospreay, you got Sabre, you still got Ishii, you still got Goto, you still got all the other guys. But in the New Japan era that I've been in over these 5 years, when there was still Nakamura and Shibata around, the top guys were the best workers.
Yeah.
So like if this is the change now because we're trying to move on to into trying to reach the U.S. market or the North American marketplace, okay, I can understand that, but
that ain't what we checking for.
I feel like you can find better. I mean, at least up to this point. I'm not writing him off because, like I said, he's still very good. But like the guys that he's in the ring with and the guys in this promotion, like, are beyond where he is right now. And it's been a year, and he also was on excursion. He ain't like. He's not a young boy no more. Like, it's time. Like, this needs to be the year for him to show and prove and go into G1 and kick all kinds of ass. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, "Wait, so he beat Tanahashi in the Tokyo Dome. He beat Okada in the Tokyo Dome. What's next? Is he gonna beat Naito in the Tokyo Dome in the 9, or he's gonna become champion before Naito ever gets there again?" Is like, you know, like what is there? Especially if Kenny leaves, because if Kenny leaves, he has to move up another notch.
Exactly, and he's not Kenny Omega. Like,
and the thing I worry about is I'm not concerned about him being Kenny Omega. I'm concerned about him being in the top 4, being the next guy to be a part of the top 5 or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Like, especially when now we have what appears to be Ospreay now is neverweight, which means he's going to be fighting heavyweights. He's going to be in the G1.
Yeah.
Like, this could be potentially, and also you throw in Saber, like, this could potentially be, he look funny in the light, like, real soon to come G1 when, like, Saber and Ospreay are going out there ripping it up, like, everybody, just like everybody else. And he's sitting there like, why are you amongst, like, the worst? Why are you amongst, like, the worst as far as, like, your G1 average or whatever? How come, like, I'm watching 20 matches from this fucking month-long round robin tournament, and I only saw one of your matches?
Yeah. And,
I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
He gets lost in the shuffle. If he gets lost in the shuffle, like, I think given the push, like, it's gonna look bad. It's gonna look bad in retrospect. It'll look granted.
And it feels like it was the end of an era. Like, that era you talked about, it feels like we closed that era up, like, at Wrestle Kingdom 13, regardless of what happens.
13?
We closed that era up, and this is like something.
I mean,
different.
Yeah, with all the
not even close it up. Jay White kills it.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely. Well, like, if Kenny leaves, plus the Young Bucks, who were great, just stable of junior tags, and also made it up to heavyweight recently. Like, yeah, I can definitely see that because those were mainstays in the product. And then, Kushida might be gone too. So yeah, I definitely see the end of there. Like, we're losing an ace. We're losing a top Gaijin, possibly. Like, we're losing a top tag team. Yeah, this definitely feels like a changing of the guard as far as, like, mainstays over the last 5 years of watching New Japan Wrestling. Yeah. You're right.
And it's very nerve-wracking to see if they're going to, like, if he doesn't get better faster, there is going to be a problem. And he's in position now to challenge Tanahashi. This could be a short reign for Tanahashi, and if they belt this guy up that fast, I think he cannot continue to perform at the level he's been at.
You know what I'd really be upset about? Like, I'm not too happy that, like, I just saw a non-classic out of Okada at the Tokyo Dome. You know what I'd really be upset about?
What?
A not instant classic. If I already bought my ticket to the G1 Supercard, and he goes out there and he wins a belt in Madison Square Garden, and it's not a classic, like that, I'm literally concerned about. Like, I spent tickets to go see, like, Okada Omega or Okada Tanahashi or Naito Omega or something like that. Like, or Ibushi Omega. I didn't pay to see him in the main event.
Regular dusty ass Jay White, as I refer to him as. Like, nah, Chief.
There's still room for him to become a must see attraction like these other guys, but, like,
is he gonna do it? But
he needs to start showing improvement because he ain't proved it yet.
Is he? Like, let's just run your scenario. Is he gonna become that guy in the next 2 months?
I don't think so. No.
Exactly. Usually improvement doesn't go that fast.
Road 2 shows.
Yeah. But let's
okay. What's next? It's what? It's what is it?
The junior match.
Is it Fantascomania?
Oh yeah, Fantascomania. Oh, yeah. So it's not gonna be.
Yeah, and then after that, what? Sakura, right?
No, it's the New Beginning is after that.
I thought. Okay.
Sakura Genesis is around my birthday.
Okay. All right.
So after that, we had moving on from Okada and Jay White.
Like I said, I was gonna make it a criticism sandwich, whatever. Right on the front end, I said it was a great match.
You're gonna lead with love.
Talk about my concerns and whatever, and at the end of it, so people do understand the words come out of my mouth. It was a great match. I thought it would be better because it's Okada in the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, and he's the greatest wrestler of a generation. I thought it reached that level, and he did his part on his end.
Yeah, so Taiji Ishimori defeats Kushida for the IWGP Championship in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. I didn't think this one landed, and I've called Kushida the regular sex of the junior division in my preview column with this. This didn't have the juice that a normal junior defense had, like one of the Will Ospreys, like one of the Hiromu matches. It just wasn't there. I went about 3.5 with it.
Yeah, I gave it 3 3/4, but I could definitely on rewatch, I can see how anybody would. I can see most people are probably going to go 3.5 on it. They didn't get the crowd till very late, and I think the story of the match and what they were trying to tell is that Ishimori is just unstoppable and an ass kicker, but it's veteran Kushida, who has been an ace for of that division for so long, and he's going to put him he's going to work that arm over, and he's eventually going to get a hoverboard lock or a key lock or whatever else, or Kimura, or whatever you want to call it, double arm hold or whatever, and I think it got to that point. And the technical wrestling was great, but
there was something missing
until late. I just didn't buy that. Kushida could actually put him away, and then sure enough, he gets him in a hold for submission. And he literally powers out to Kimura and then puts him on the shoulders, gives him the his move. I was like, okay,
Simon.
I do believe the right person won though.
Yeah, right person did win. Simon, what did you think about that entrance? Kushida's in particular.
No comment.
Bro, this mask that he had on looked so lifelike, and I was like, oh shit, it's Kushida. And then I was clowning because obviously Kushida's small, but then I really liked the entrance because I'm I'm a huge fan of time travel and the concept. I literally dropped a mixtape called Time Travel before, so
you like Doc Taguchi?
Loved it. So
I'm sitting there watching wait a second, that's Taguchi. Yep. And then sure enough, on the English commentary, which I listen to the English commentary as opposed to watch the Japanese commentary like I normally do by myself. But I watched it and I'm just they actually mentioned I guess they turned him over to Funk You Up, and I was like, you didn't have to point at it. We knew who it was.
I like when Cyrus was talking about the Japanese 2, that Jericho had gotten his match or whatever. It was Colin Slow fucking him out there,
Callis was so insufferable those last 2 matches. So insufferable.
I love Callis.
He was talking. He was doing the. We'll get back to the Kushida match. Maybe we're done, but
yeah, we done.
And the last 2 matches, the stuff he said about when Kevin Kelly was talking about how Naito is such a perfectionist and about the performance and wanting to be great style and all this other stuff, and then he goes, "Who cares? It's about the wins and losses and making money." I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" Oh my god! He because of the Jericho thing, he is now officially into the JBL territory where you're the heel commentator, but because you have relations with these people or whatever else, now you're actually cutting people slack. So for that match, the Jericho match, he's clearly all in in the bag for Jericho, right? And then he gets to the main event, and after all this time of him being in the pocket of Kenny, he goes and then he wants to give some respect to Tanahashi as far as how much he respects him or whatever. So I'm like, dude, if you just don't do your regular stick of sucking of blowing Kenny Omega and get the fuck out of my face after what you just did in the previous match, shut up.
So the next match, the IWGP United States Championship, Juice Robinson defeats Cody in just under 9 minutes. This was horrible.
what can you do in 9 minutes? It wasn't horrible. It just was like, it was just there, and it was 9 minutes. It's like, okay.
It felt like
y'all weren't trying to do anything with this match either.
It was like they got 9 minutes. They went to the cheating right away, and it's just like, I've seen this. Well,
they only had 9 minutes, so they had to get the cheating in.
Yeah, this was a miss. This was a miss. This was not the big win that Juice Robinson was looking for, that he needed.
Compare it to, actually do this. Compare it to when he lost to Cody.
Yeah, that match was way better.
If we go 6 months from now, a year from now,
it's like, what the fuck did y'all do that for? It's like, what the fuck? Why y'all even take the belt off him? Like,
or not even that. It's like, I get what you were trying to do, but like,
I don't.
You need to give him more time. You need to get, if your idea was he became a champion and then he immediately fails, whatever, but this time he's going to overcome, and he also is now 0-2 against Cody, and now he finally puts Cody away, so now he's the top U.S. guy, and he's also supposed to be your top, completely, totally babyface Gaijin. Cool, but like, he needs to be more impressive in defeating Cody, and I thought, you know, like this was not the bad WWE TV match. We were already talking about Jay White, right?
Yeah.
This was not the performance he had against that him or Jay White had at Cow Palace. Like, that's the kind of match that would have gotten him to where they're trying to get him to get Juice. They didn't have that here. Yeah. And honestly, given 9 minutes, I don't know if they even want him to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I only gave this one 2 3/4. It was just a struggle. It was out of place, I thought, on this show.
This is one of the examples, like a lot of people said throughout the card, that a lot of these matches suffered from needing more time. Yeah. And this is clearly one of them. I have nothing to say about this one except really just disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, like, we've seen both of these two do better against different people and also against each other.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Exactly. I guess it's like, it's just one of those things that, like, sometimes you click, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, I guess 9 minutes ain't helping either.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I did like that Cody came out there with all the Jaguars gear on. It was just like a dead giveaway. Like, I think Juice eventually, he went over strong in the end. He hit his finisher twice on the guy, got him the fuck out of there, closed that chapter. Yeah, but kind of let down.
Did a new opponent arise for him at New Year's Dash?
I'm not sure. I have to check on Juice.
Okay.
Then we had the tag team match with Evil and Sonata defeating Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa and the Young Bucks to win the IWGP heavyweight titles. I like the music change for Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa because, you know, I've gone on record to say, you know, while I don't think they had a bad theme before, it was just like relatively flat. Like, it was,
that shit was boring.
It was just like,
don't sugarcoat it. That shit was boring and minimal.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough. Like,
it doesn't fill the arena at all.
Yeah, this shit quaking. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, ain't nobody realer than gorillas. Like, yeah, I'm with that. But I thought, you know, I really liked this match as well. I went ahead and gave this one 4 1/4. It was just all action, quick. Get to it. Bucks were excellent. Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa were in there too, and, you know, Evil and Sonata did their thing.
Okay, so I thought it was a really good match. I didn't even bother rating it though, so I don't even know what to think of what that 4 1/4 you gave it. But the things I really liked in the match were like, you know, good guy Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, look, man, we're good guys now. Like, that, you know, that G1.
Forget about that.
You bring it up. That's in the past. Let that past stay in that past. Let's focus on going forward. Like, we're good guys now. I just loved it. I love insincere heels. Like, insincere heels that are like still like trying to keep up the gimmick. I love that. So, like a total phony. So, I love that he stopped Jado from using the kendo stick. I love the fact that like they were doing all this weird cheating stuff, or like Foley got involved at one point. I love like Kushida's like spot where was it 4 dives in a row? Yeah, like the crowd, like of all the 6 people that were in that ring, like the second he got in, like the crowd just like perked up. Like they expect something big out of Sonata eventually. Like I think Sonata got to get rid of that beard.
Yeah, you got to cut that shit. That shit was awful.
My God,
but outside of that, like we talking about top 5 and all the other stuff, right? And talk about people having no charisma or whatever else. Like, look, you can be uncharismatic or whatever else all you want to if you're out here doing all the flippy and athletic stuff in the world.
Yeah.
Jay White ain't really at that kind of level to be out here uncharismatic.
I love how everything we're saying just keeps coming back to Jay White.
Like, because literally, like, what we were doing,
it's going to be a big deal.
We were pulling Jay White.
A big deal for New Japan this year.
We were pulling his star ratings, then comparing him to people like Goto. To
you showed me that chart from the G1.
To just a lot of people in that level, like, you know, Hangman Page, like different stuff like that. It's like, this is actually his performance level. They're pushing him on some other shit. So
yeah. But anyway, like, I thought this was a really good match, and it was a really fun match. Like, I didn't really get into like how, because I mean, this is another match that was short.
Yeah. And then Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Tomohiro Ishii to win the new belt of the British, the Rev Pro Championship. We saw their match, obviously, in New Orleans.
Yes.
That was excellent as well. And
which match do you like more?
I think I like the New Orleans match more.
I mean, there's more time to it.
Yeah. And it was like a real main event. So this one was, it was good. It was fast, and it was, you know, we've been critical of Sabre here on this show, and I didn't mind him at all on this show, and you know, I enjoyed the match a lot. I think I gave this one for the customary 4 1/4, like that. I pretty much give all the Sabre and Ishii matches.
Yeah, like this match only went like 11, 12 minutes, and I gave it. I thought it was 4 1/4 as well. I think. I think the fact that it had a clear storyline in it, as far as working over that arm, so he can't do the break, so he can't give you that clothesline, and he can't give you the brain buster. I think that helped, and also the fact that he kept getting him in and out of stuff, and like I mean, there were some sequences in this thing, in the wrestling of this thing, or stand up to the floor and back up, and you know, I thought it was great. Like, there's one thing that pissed me off in this match, and it's the same thing as the Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks deal from Elimination Chamber last year, in the War Games match between Kyrie and Shayna. Somebody dives on top of you or lands on top of you with a big move splash, or you get dropped or it's a falling attack or whatever, basically, and then like somebody that just took impact, literally like, oh, never mind that. No sell counter.
Roll up thing, yeah.
Yeah, like when he got that brain buster from the second rope, and then he immediately like just jumps right the fuck up, and then like breaks Ishii's arm. I'm like, what? Okay, so let me get this right. You're getting the move done to you, and a superplex is supposed to show how dangerous it is for both of you, and you both take damage. It's normally a double down spot. Or it's a slow crawl for whoever performed the maneuver to get a cover, because they're also out of it. So what you're saying is you took the worst end of this damaging thing, and then you're able to get up, and Ishii was also hurt. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. Like, I hated that spot. There's another spot we're going to talk about with Ibushi and Ospreay that I fucking hated too. But this one was like, what are y'all doing? Like, what? But outside of that, I thought it was a fantastic match that held together airtight, psychology-wise, as far as what both people were trying to do. And I think they showcased Ishii as a badass in the fact that, like, anytime Zack Sabre thought he had hurt his arm enough and tried to, slap him or kick him or whatever else, Ishii immediately started hulking up and chopped the shit out of him and chopped him to shreds, and then or headbutted him and laid him out, and it was awesome. Like, I feel like if that match had more time, it would have been better, but we only got 11 minutes for Ishii and Sabre.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but Zack Sabre's kind of growing on me.
That's
he
fine.
doesn't wrestle like this all the time, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
He doesn't wrestle at that pace all the time. Like most of the time, it's literally playing defense against the other guy's stuff, and it's just like that's exhausting. Yeah. That's not fun. But this one was actually fun, and he actually moved around and showed a lot more, a lot more of a game plan. I guess that's the best way to put it. Because a lot of times, like, he'll work over your arm a lot, and then all of a sudden he'll work on your leg a lot, and then all of a sudden he'll do another move on another body part. And he's like, wait, focus on one thing and like get this dude out of here, as opposed to like I'm trying to show you that I'm the technical marvel.
Yeah, man. Shingo Takagi and Bushi ended up winning in the first of a good night for LIJ, who won they all have gold now. Shingo Takagi and Bushi defeated Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado, as well as Sho and Yo, to win the IWGP titles. This was a shock. I thought this was Sho and Yo's time. They are the team in that division, but I guess this just turned into the Shingo show, and that dude is a bear.
Yes. And he's damn sure not no junior.
Yeah, fuck no. Like it seems like he's not long for the junior position. So Hiromu, hurry up back so we can get Shingo on to some other shit. But this was all action, super sprint. Got the belts off of Kanemaru and Desperado. People tell me that they had this awesome run. I remember seeing them like just they're not better than any team that I saw them wrestle. So they weren't my bag, but I do like their theme music. Sho and Yo not getting the win was a shock because, as I mentioned, those are supposed to be them dudes in this division, but maybe the chase is between them and LIJ.
I'd be fine with that. Going forward.
Hey, we don't know when Hiromu's coming back. Maybe, just maybe, singles.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Sho and Yo.
We've been talking about it for a while about there's one that's clearly better than the other, and it might be by that time to go out.
There's a lot of people that would argue against that. Yo has his fair share of supporters, and he's literally like Seth Rollins. They're the same guy. Like, so
look, they're both look, both of them are great, right? I just think that one's better than the other, and I'm Team Show. That's where I'm at. That's where I stand on it. And I feel like that's where you stand on it too.
It might be the WWE fan.
I don't have a choice,
but I'm not in the habit of breaking up team.
No. I don't look. Whatever they do, like together, they're a great tag team. I just think that like if they feel like there is a need to split them up because to help support the juniors division, now that like Ospreay's gone and Hiromu's gone. And we don't know, we can only think that that we're going to get scrolled back at points. But like Kushida could be gone too. Like they're going to be hemorrhaging out their junior division compared to last year when it was like loaded.
Good point.
But so they might go that route and say, you know what, singles.
And then the opening match of the night, Will Ospreay defeating Kota Ibushi for the Never Openweight Championship, knocking him the fuck out at the end of the match. And I love that move that he does, like with the arm joint. I love that move. I gave this one 4 3/4. I wasn't disappointed at all in this match. I think I would only been disappointed had it been like a 4 1/4 deal. Anything above that was fine for me. It was flips. It was hard hitting action. It was everything I wanted. And
great way to start a show. Definitely.
I thought it should have been later in the show. Like, honestly, like in the way New Japan typically has set up for, the way that I've watched it, there are a murderer's row of great matches towards the end. And I think that kind of fucked them this year that they didn't go that route. Like, so by the time it got to like Juice Robinson and Cody, there was just like, it was like almost the low point on the scale. And then it went back up from there. And it was just like,
say, in the grand scheme of things, and for time's sake, you could honestly just get rid of that match in general, and it makes the show better.
I mean, if they're only given 9 minutes, and I don't even know why they even tried.
Yeah. You could put it on the. That's. I've said enough bad about that match. It wasn't a bad match, but the thing is, they didn't do any favors. Now, as far as the lecture at hand, though, look, we saw that.
or what was that tag match where you saw that sequence in Rev Pro? What was that tag match?
Yeah, it was a 6-man match. Yeah, it was a 6-man match. Ibushi and Ospreay were on the other sides of each other.
Yeah, and like they literally teased, like everybody's sitting there like, when are these two going to get in the ring and show, these two are the best in the world, go and show. And then like they teased it throughout the show. They're teasing throughout that match. And it finally happened. And it was like a 90-second flurry of just incredibleness. And like, I was just like, ever since that point, I was like, they need to wrestle. Like this needs to happen on a big stage. I don't know if it's a G, or I don't know if it's like, Ospreay turns are this this April. So I'm like, maybe, he somehow gets to Never or whatever else, ends up in the G1 by the time we get out of April or whatever else, in 4 months or whatever. I just like, we need to get to that point. And then, you had was it December 15th was the Road 2 show?
Yeah.
Where they had that segment where like, he flips over and he lands and is like, literally as a whole damn anime fight. So, I love this. I love this match.
Yeah. Simon, what were your thoughts on this match?
It was like I said, a great way to start. Like that spot where Ibushi tried to hit his moonsault and then got kicked like dead in his face. Gee,
we ready to talk about this now?
I mean, we got to, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So I'm not. This is not on Ibushi. This is on Ospreay. Ospreay ends up out the ring early in the match, and anybody that's seen any Ibushi match that have any prominence knows that you get the golden triangle moonsault, and you know where the landing spot is more or less towards the dead center of the floor. He's over by the other turnbuckle, so it made Ibushi look like such a dumbass to run, from one corner to the other, to the opposite corner, set up and then flip where he's supposed to land on the floor towards the center. But really, Ospreay's all the way like 5 feet further away than that to where he could even possibly get there, even trying if he wanted to. So it's like, why would you even bother to run and jump when you know where the fuck he is? And then he climbs up and then he kicks him, and it's like, this would have made more sense if all you had to do was sit front of center hanging up on the apron. We expect him to like fall back, and then you catch him right in the middle. All you have to do is climb up, kick, take 1 step and kick. He goes on the other end, charges up to get to the other corner, and then kick him. I was like, you just made I don't know if the camera angle made it look worse or whatever else, but like the whole setup between both camera cuts just made it look so bad. Yeah. And then you go to, and then after this, you see somebody sent it to Cornette, and Cornette was like, "What the fuck?" I bust out laughing, and people were like, "You don't have the full context." I'm like, he doesn't need the full context. I watched this fucking match, and it immediately pulled me out the match when I saw this. This looked terrible.
Yeah, I think Ospreay just got up there too early. Like, he should have waited like another second to where it would have been plausible that Ibushi would have looked and went up and did the flip, rather than Ibushi gets up there and then you're not even there. Like, and then I think that's where the main issue was. But for me, that was like ultimately like a small deal in the match.
Yeah, and it was early. Early in the match, so after being pulled out of it early, like I was able to get back into it. So, I like the part where, we talked about the January 15 deal where he flips over and lands on his feet. We got to a point where Ibushi gets German suplexed, and then like Ospreay thought that bought him some time. His back's turned, and he's Ibushi more or less like lands on his head or lands on his neck or whatever, shoulders or whatever else. And then like basically like looks like a damn demon by the way his head is turned and cranked. And then like nose and starting to like shake the cobwebs out that way by getting straight, like getting to his knees and then to his feet. And then like he's directly behind Ospreay that thinks he has all this time. Mm-hmm. And then Ospreay turns around and realizes that he's fucked. And all you know is like a Bumaye knee coming right to the back of his dome, and it was like, damn, like that looked brutal.
Yeah.
So then we get towards the end of the match, or we get to the very end of the match. Well, not the very end, like close to the end, and Ibushi goes for what I now call is like the career ender, where somebody's on the apron, their back is turned to the ropes, their back are to the ropes. Ibushi gets on stands up on the bottom rope and then leans over, picks you up, and then Germans you at a high angle on your neck. So anybody that's seen any Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar interactions, same thing. German happens, and then Ospreay flips over and lands on his feet. And then Ibushi was like, yeah, I killed the game with that one. I broke this dude's neck. He done. Turns around, and it's the same thing of what happened earlier in the match, where this time he's the one that's like, oh, shit. and sure enough, he ends up giving him that flip over kick, and it's like, and then we go from there, and then like it just kept progressing to where we get that elbow, and it's like, that elbow was just gruesome. Yeah. Like,
and it's crazy because it was a really big high flying match, but for me, this was another fight. Like, it was like these dudes, like, they're going to do big moves to each other, but they're going to knock the shit out of each other at other times.
It was superheroes fighting, but yes, it was fighting. It was a fight. Yes,
it was a fight.
Like, there was a lot more physical than you would have thought from two dudes that are described as flippy dudes. It was like, look, man, you want to call Ibushi a flippy dude? That's fine because he does a lot of flips, but like, you might want to check that dude's background and resume. That dude was a competitive kickboxer. Like,
he's for real.
There's a reason why wherever he goes, they sell his mid kicks as like the hardest kicks in the business or amongst them. Like, don't think he's not. You don't think watch that Ibushi match if you think it's for play.
Yeah, don't think it's sweet.
And just looking at his hits, I'd rather take a V trigger than anything.
Yeah.
Bro, do you remember that spot in the main event where Omega does the V trigger in the corner and then Tanahashi moves? Bro, I thought this Omega destroyed his leg. Like,
bro, did you see the V trigger towards the end? He put his soul into that one.
Yeah. Oh, the one where they basically almost both go through the middle and bottom turnbuckle or rope. Yeah.
I still think this is an all-time great show. Like, just in a vacuum, it's like, some people may have found it disappointing. I don't know exactly why, but at least from our perspective, like, maybe they were, maybe the Western thing has something to do with it. A lot of those guys lost. For me, that wasn't really a big deal.
I don't give a shit. I care more about the actual. For me, for the most part, like, given because this is my 5th year, like, and following this stuff through at different points, like
it balances out.
I don't give a shit.
like Dominion, like it all balances out. So it's like if you just come in to watch this one show a year, as many of you do, and but I would advise following the product because there's nothing more. Wrestle Kingdom will reward you for sticking with New Japan throughout the year, and then it's right.
Also, for those that, and this was me after the first Okada Omega match, where I was like, you know what? I've been doing the parachute, or I've just been basically watching only. I saw Wrestle Kingdom 9, I saw Wrestle Kingdom 10, I saw 11, and this is like the best match I've ever seen. So I want to start actually legitimately following this thing. And I remember I called into Observer Live, because shout out to Semper Vivi, to ask because they watch it. So I'm thinking like, what would be a good picking up point? And they were just like, and I think that's the beauty about, like Stardom or New Japan is like, if you want to go back, cool, but you're probably better off just picking up right where you first started, right there, and just go forward. And then like, if there's anything you feel like you need to know, you can go back into the Google or the Cage Match or on New Japan World and check out whatever you feel like you need to, but don't feel like you need to like immediately crash course yourself because it can be overwhelming because you say, I want to watch every great match and you're going to be there forever and you might never catch up. Your hair will be long as motherfucking Methuselah trying to catch up all these great New Japan matches.
Great way to start the year, I will say.
Yeah, man. So let's transition into the fallout essentially of Wrestle Kingdom with the announcement.
Hold on. You ain't gonna put over the fact that or mention the fact that your hair going long as motherfucking Methuselah, like they came from a TI. They came from TI on trap music.
I forgot. No? I forgot about that. My bad. So on New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day, in the night, there was the announcement of All Elite Wrestling. It's been no secret amongst the hardcore community that this was coming. And in that time, Cody's signed a contract with them. The Young Bucks have signed contracts. There is a rally planned Tuesday in Jacksonville, ironically, where SmackDown is emanating from.
How much of that is a coincidence, do you think?
Supposedly, it's a pure coincidence, but I don't believe that for a second.
Right.
Thank you. I don't believe it neither.
Yeah, so the hottest thing now in the streets is like, where's Kenny going? And supposedly WWE has laid out this mammoth offer for him. Is he going to go hang with his boys and All Elite and create something new? And one of the things about All Elite that I think a lot of people are getting excited about right now, they also signed Britt Baker, so they do have a women's division. Oh, we can talk about that too, James. And your tweet that blew the fuck up. They were negotiating with, said to be negotiating with Time Warner, who is the parent company of, TNT and TBS, which was famously where WCW was all those years ago. And if that happens, they have enough money to compete, and they were linked to a lot of people like Goldberg. They were linked obviously with Jericho, Kenny, the Bucks, Elite, Hangman, blah, 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 down the list. I want All Elite Wrestling to come here and start kicking ass and taking names. I'm now that it's on the board, what we waiting for?
I'm just seeing your tweet now, James. That shit really did blow up.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's like I get, because when I sent it to y'all in the thread, in the BWB thread, it had a lot more stuff because it was just I guess it was
more raw and uncut.
It was more like a stream of consciousness or whatever, more than actually just like facts or whatever else, and had to be something that I needed to distill down to being able to fit into the 120, 108 or 280 characters. So like I had to dump a lot of stuff, but I thought that I did as good a job as I possibly could. Now me distilling it down and seeing the way that people have responded to it as far as the replies makes me like wish that I never sent the fucking thing, but whatever. The point still stands. Like AEW has only done one show, and on that one show they had Bandito, they had Ibushi, they had Rey Mysterio Jr., and they had Phoenix in the main event. And they had, in the headlining matches, they had Jay Lethal as ROH champion. And in a match, they had Okada in a match. And there's one other person I'm blanking on right now. Who's the
Oh, you're talking about the actual? You talking about the
headliners?
Penta.
Yeah, and Pentagon and headline match with Kenny.
But why were you tweeting this out, James?
Oh yeah. This response to just a few people that I've seen on here, like before we even know anything about AEW, other than knowing that like it seems like it appears to be coming and they're trying to get a TV deal. And before we know a roster breakdown or signings or anything else,
I think Cody was the only person signed.
Yeah, people were like saying that, or people were talking about the Elite or All Elite Wrestling and it just being another white institution. And I'm like, well, it probably, okay. So I don't know how familiar people are with this, but like the Khans, they ain't white, right? The Khan family ain't white. So just moving on from there, as far as like, talking about, if you want to talk about management, cool. Like, the chief branding officer is Brandy. Now, I don't know what the equivalent of what Brandy's role in the company will be, but I feel kind of confident in saying that I don't think WWE has ever had a minority rank that high in their infrastructure. I don't know. Maybe there was per one person. But over the my entire lifetime,
it hasn't been publicized to that extent. It hasn't been publicized. If there was,
well, as far as hearing WWE's inner workings from backstage people about the backstage for on and off as far as different eras or whatever else. I'm unaware of any minority that's ever ranked as high as what Brady would be for this company. That's besides the point. And then there was talk about they don't have any women, and it's like, well,
it literally started.
But it's like, look, they don't have any wrestlers. Like, they don't have any wrestlers. Can we at least can we figure out where they're going to be, and then, or not even that, at least as dominoes fall, if we get 2 or 3 announcements, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 announcements, and then there's never no talk of women. Definitely, we need to talk about that. Once we get to 5, we probably start talking about that, right? But then, and then the next day after this, we get the Britt Baker, the Britt Baker thing. And the thing is, my tweet came before that. My thing was look, they've done one show. They had Mexicans, they had Japanese people, they had black people, they had women. They had one of the. Not only did they have these people, they were showcased and spotlighted. They didn't all lose. They were in the main event. Some of these people are fucking legends. Some of these people are up and comers and people that they spotlight, like Jordan Grace, for example, or someone like Pentagon, who because of the hardcore fan here, we don't really pay as much attention to Mexican wrestling as we should, considering its proximity to us and how easy it would be to get them to come to shows as opposed to flying in people from Japan, and we treat them as the legends that they are too. So, I thought, for an Americanized product, this was the most as far as our All In concerned, it's the most diverse product I'd ever seen in America. So for people that are WWE apologists to come out and spew whatever they need to spew, it's look, it needs to be said on the front end and all throughout that yes, there needs to be more representation and also needs to be more inclusion in pro wrestling and entertainment as a whole in general. Absolutely. And we do need to have concerns about AEW potentially too. But when that's what their track record has been so far, and also given what they've done on All In, and then go into the fact that they only have one goddamn wrestler, can we at least wait until we get to a second, third, or fourth wrestler being announced, and then go to that point? That's all.
I think people were so prepared to bend over backwards and hate for essentially nothing when nothing exists yet. So they were determined to do that.
I'm gonna shut this whole argument down right now.
The thing is this, right? Look, if that's how you feel and those are your concerns, you are absolutely right to have the concerns given opens book, looks at all of history, right?
Right.
But have that worry at the forefront of your mind and don't say it until it's time appropriate to use it or not even speculate in that term. I mean, you can speculate and wonder out why as far as concerns, but to already call them trash or whatever else ahead of time on the front end, it's you don't even know what the fuck's going on yet.
It literally started a week.
I saw a tweet literally that said that they were trash, and then in the second tweet, someone said oh yeah, they signed Brandy's a part of the company, and Britt Baker was signed. They were like,
oh okay,
damn, they got it covered. Then why you even tweet that shit out then?
Go ahead, Simon.
I'm gonna shut all this down right now. He's like, oh, what about diversity? What about representation? Meanwhile, what was the fallout for WWE when the black wrestlers tweeted black excellence?
Oh, take all their belts.
Mm-hmm. So I don't want to hear none of that. Be quiet.
Oh yeah, and then we still got Mexicans coming out here with piñatas. That's not Vince Russo's WCW, which that actually happened when they were having Mexican street fights. What the fuck is a Mexican street fight? I don't know, other than there's Mexicans in it. They were having the WWE in 2018 had luchadors coming down to the ring with piñatas.
Yeah.
Literally weeks ago.
For no reason. It's a lucha house party.
If you're looking for if you want to see Hispanics represented well, look no further than MLW. It's a more authentic feeling product, for people of color in general, actually. And I would recommend that.
Rich.
Yeah.
Rich, quick question. Who are these top Latin stars you're talking about in or Latinx stars you're talking about in MLW?
I believe Low Key. I'm not sure on Low Key, but it may be. Pentagon's there.
Is Phoenix there?
Brothers there. Phoenix is there.
Okay, so they were in All In, right?
Yeah.
Last I checked.
Yep.
They had prominent positions on All In, right? One was in the main event, one was in the match with Kenny Omega, right?
Correct.
Okay. Like, I mean, look what they've done with Andrade Cien Almas.
Yeah. Who's probably the best one of them all. So,
I don't want to stray too far into whataboutism.
Yeah.
But it rings awfully hollow when your complaint is about this, when about throwing rocks when you live in a glass house. I'm leaving it at that.
So they've also got Rouge, Sammy Guevara.
That's right.
Ricky Martinez.
Rouge got there recently, right?
Yeah. EO de LA Park. Yeah, they pretty much got everyone covered. Like if you can pull up their fighters page, it looks like they
Conan getting shanked.
Yep, Conan getting shanked. Yes, correct. Yeah. So. Yeah, man, it just feels like a more modern like type of wrestling. I don't know if you checked out MLW yet, Simon, but it's well worth a watch.
I've definitely heard about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna check it out because my thing is my standard for stuff being good or stuff being tolerable is a lot lower than both of yours. And when Rich gave that shit approval, I was like, this shit got to be real good then, because Rich ain't like. Look, Rich will hate watch some Raw and some SmackDown because it's the number one watch thing or whatever else, and he generally has a childhood love of it or whatever else. But if it ain't worth his time and it's some shit he's just picking up, he'll drop that shit like a bad habit. So
quick,
yeah.
I ain't watching NFL football in how long?
Check out MLW.
Bitch, I ain't watching NFL football in how long? Like,
yeah.
So, but last thing we want to talk about today before we get up out of here, of course. Rest in peace, Mean Gene Okerlund. I was
Could
sad.
that be the end? Could that just be it?
Unfortunately, it can't be.
I wish it could be, James.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gene Okerlund passed away, age 76. They said complications from some type of liver failure. It pretty much is close. I've also heard natural causes.
Somebody said a bad fall, too.
Yeah, a fall happened in there. And Okerlund was just a classic voice in wrestling, in WWF, the old WWF, and in WCW, always having the right, tone, always having the right line, always just being fucking Gene Okerlund, and it's hard to explain. And I know this is a medium
he had
where
credibility.
Yeah,
amongst these outsized characters that are goofballs and yahoos and wackos and crazy or whatever else. He was a straight man and had credibility. It's very similar to like the way we felt with Jim Ross on commentary during the Attitude Era. Amongst all of the foolishness, like there are two things you can bank on. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin being an ass kicker and being serious amongst all the the lewd sex acts and all the other stuff, and Jim Ross, like being a straight shooter and calling people out when when stuff is full on shenanigans and just a cartoon. So, and the same can be said about Okerlund as a interviewer. He would sit there with Macho Man while Macho Man talking about the beat goes on and Ric Flair saying that like him winning the title is better than any of his children being born, flying through his fucking teeth, and he's sitting there with a straight face, and like you say some of this nonsense, he'll be like, "Look, cut that out, and also put that cigarette out." So,
yes,
he for a lot of people, he stood in as like almost like a narrator or almost like a person that could get exposition or what the knowledge that you would need out of what a character is or what angles are, as opposed to what they do now on the main roster where they do a backstage interview. They have pretty much anybody not named
generic
Renee.
lady number one.
Yeah, or anyone not named. Yeah, or anyone not named Renee, and they ask a question, and then they basically either answer your simple little basic question, or just shrug off your question and go on and do what they and say what they want to say to be an exposition dump, as opposed to somebody that's actually answering questions while also giving you a character and a motivation and furthering a plot along. So we need more Gene Okerlunds, and also Gene Okerlund was also the best at somebody's a shit promo in an era when, like, you know, you lived and died on whether or not you can cut promo your damn self. Like, if you're a bad promo, he's going to make your promo better. If you were a good promo, he's going to make you a great promo. If you were a great promo, he made you an all-time legend. So he was one of those people he was quality control. That's the way I put it. He was literally quality control. One-man quality control. He made everything better he ever touched.
Yep.
And there's very few people you can say about that in the wrestling business that we grew up in from the 90s through now. Like, there are very few that are non-wrestlers or whatever else.
He's like 100% approval across generations. Like, I haven't heard anyone come out and, you know, shit on Okerlund, say he did a bad job or anything like that, or was problematic, and, you know, and maybe these are stories I don't know about. They don't exist, like, you know, for me, but
yeah, like, the only issue you might have for him is the fact that, like, he was Gene Okerlund and he was a legend in WCW, and he had he could kind of be he might be able to outshine the people he's interviewing at times. But outside of that, that's it, and that's him being a victim of his own greatness.
Mean by God, Gene.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, man. Like, you go through and then I remember someone. I remember someone saying, like, he was a consummate professional. He never broke, and I was like, look, I understand that he's respected and loved, but look, you go on YouTube. And the best thing about Gene Okerlund is the fact that, like, he was a great professional, has all this reel of great, excellent interviews with these people, and people having their best interviews with him. That one of the best things about Gene Okerlund is you go through his outtakes, you go through the times he ever corpsed. It's the funniest shit ever. like when he does the AWA deal with Buddy that did what's Buddy's name that also slapped that one reporter about that asked him if wrestling was real that one time. It's the same guy.
Schultz, David Schultz, Dr. D.
David Schultz. He's like, I came from San Francisco looking for a woman. You know what I mean? A woman. In all that country, and then like he goes on and says, like, you know, basically there aren't any real women out in San Francisco or whatever, which is just a deplorable thing to say. But like, you see Gene's reaction, you're just like, dude, you know how funny it had to be sitting in there in that area or whatever else. Or better yet, you go to another AWA promo where it's him and it's Jesse the Body Ventura, and he's bringing in Saito, right? Saito, and he talks about how they're going to be a tag team and how, like, Saito is like, we're going to make the perfect tag team because I help his weaknesses, he helps my weaknesses, so we're going to be strong together. And Saito comes out there and he give him like a 2-inch block of wood to break through. And he goes to headbutt it. But the thing is, it's like probably like 8 by 8 inches as far as its width. So it's not long enough to have give to actually break it.
It's dense.
So, yeah, it's super dense. So he goes and rears back and gives a headbutt, and he's like, see, Japanese wood, strong. Japanese wood, strong. And the thing is, like, Saito's English was killer, right? So that's the reason why he actually, like, made it as a wrestler in the United States, or one of the first Japanese wrestlers to make it in the United States to that extent and stay over here. But he's like, okay, cool. So he's like, do it again. Try it again. It's an outtake. So he goes and busts that shit again. It's weaker than the first one. They bust out laughing almost on the floor. It's hilarious, bro.
I'm about to check that out.
How did this even see the light of day? And I'm glad it saw the light of day, but how did it even get out where people can even see this thing? Is this hilarious?
Yeah. With all that said, WWE decided to ruin it all and announced that Hulk Hogan was coming back on Monday Night Raw to pay tribute to Gene Okerlund. They announced it on Twitter. Simon, when you saw this, tell us about it, man.
I don't know. I was really actually just looking up some general things about Monday Night Raw when I was first looking it up. And I was like, okay, it's the first episode of the year. Like, okay, they got to have something planned, right? And then I look it up and I see this because I get notifications anytime WWE tweets because I write reports on them and everything. Look at the notification. Okay, what is this? Breaking news. Hulk Hogan returning to honor Mean Gene Okerlund. The people listening to this can't see my face, but y'all know exactly how I feel. Just really, just to honor his friend, right? That's exactly what. So where to begin with this? Okay, first of all, WWE has been increasingly trying to bring Hulk Hogan back on the television ever since they announced that his phantom suspension from the Hall of Fame was up, as you pointed out in your article. Like, they brought him back to Saudi Arabia so that the heat would die down, and now they're bringing him back to TV to talk about the recent past, me and Gene Okerlund, so that the heat will die down, so that there won't be, because now anybody who boos him or boos anything he has to say is positioned as the bad guy. Like, this is blatant PR. There's nothing else to really say about it, and this is good. And I just feel like this is going to be the gateway, because first it's going to be he can't come back to honor his friend. Then it's going to be a Hall of Fame.
Happening.
There's going to be a Hall of Fame induction. He can't come back to honor his other friend. Then there's going to be an appearance on Raw celebrating some anniversary of God knows what. He can't come back to entertain the fans. It's going to be so and so and forth until he just back on a regular basis. And I'm not trying to hear any of this crap.
Yeah, this is like. Do you remember when Chris Brown was performing on the?
Yes, I know. I got it. Yes, it was the BET Awards. Like, it was like his first like nationally televised performance. Like, after he beat the hell out of Rihanna. So go ahead.
Yes, and remember when he was doing all that crying on the stage, and he literally had the performance of a lifetime. He basically danced as if his career depended on it, because it probably did, and it performed. And then he came out, and anybody that's like had any type of following about Chris Brown know that like a huge influence in his career was Michael Jackson. Like, literally anybody from the past 30 years of music. So he comes out and he sings "Man in the Mirror," and like he does all literally like dancing the night away. And then like it's time for him to slow it on down. He came out in a t-shirt, soaking wet t-shirt. He sweat through that thing, and then he went to sing "Man in the Mirror," and once he got to the first verse, that man boohoo snot cried. Yes,
like as if his mama passed, and like immediately I remember that right after that, Niecy Nash was like I felt that or whatever, and I was like, it was almost like some mom like, it's gonna be all right, baby. I was like, dude,
like he ain't crying over no Michael Jackson. Like
maybe he felt it, maybe he didn't. All I know is that was a hell of a fortunate coincidence for his career.
Yeah, and I said that to say like it was like they used that as Chris Brown rebuilt his career on that, and he was crying during that whole thing. But this wasn't about Michael Jackson for him. This is about, how can I save my ass? And it looks like it worked, and I got through this. I feel like Hulk Hogan is going to do the same thing on Monday Night Raw. He's going to come out there, put some crocodile tears on, and I think, I wrote a column recently, went up on lordsofpain.net. Of course, it was called WWE Selling the Hulk Hogan Redemption Story Through Gene Okerlund's Death. If you'd like to read it, they aren't fooling anyone, me especially. And I've got the regular people pressed in the comment section, so that's not a shock at all. And it was just like, this is another thing that this is another part of the process. They slid him in, as Simon mentioned, for Crown Jewel to kind of, there couldn't be two news stories at once. And now they're linking him with Gene Okerlund. I'd much rather him come back on his own merit. They'd be like, Hulk Hogan is coming back to speak to the WWE Universe. I would accept that, because they're bringing him on his own merit, and it's not linking him trying to hide. And if it's one thing that I've kind of made clear that it aggravates me about WWE, is when they try to hide stuff in front of you. It's like, we're gonna let Roman Reigns have a losing record on pay-per-view, but we still gonna end up with him in the main event of WrestleMania. It's like y'all tried to hide him, and this is completely different from a kayfabe win-loss record or anything. But just for context, they've rolled this thing out to a T. They've had the strategic TMZ placements of all these legends. They've had a couple black wrestlers come out and co-sign them as a return, and they've also had some resistance, shockingly, from
Hey, listen. Also, the same as that black wrestlers that they had come out there to try to tell them it was okay for them to go get that money, that oil money.
Yeah,
too.
Same ones.
There's that too.
Same ones. It stinks. I don't like it, and I got a feeling Tuesday when we record that show, I'm going to let off in their ass, like based on whatever happens, like even more than I did on that column. And this was, I'm not shocked that he's back. I think Mean by God Gene is just as good as Let Me Tell You Some Gene, or better, way more entertaining. Flair's going to be there as well. They weren't announcing Flair on Twitter the way they were with Hogan. And yeah, this is, I think that them positioning themselves as allies and rehabilitators of Hogan's image is just like, it's another reclamation project for them to sell. It's another
doing more work than he did to apologize, basically.
Yeah. And there are people that can't wait to bring him back. I'm sure he's going to get cheered, but I'd love for Orlando to boo the hell out of him. You've hijacked crowds shit before. We know what you are as a wrestling audience. You have no problem fucking up the show. I'm holding out hope that, the boo birds show up. They probably won't.
Yeah, so Bobby Heenan passed in September of 2017. There was no talk or consideration for bringing back Hogan then, even though it would have been something cool to have had him come out and talk about like one of his greatest nemesis and biggest pains in his ass in his career, as far as him paying tribute to him being gone. Snuka passed, and even though like by all accounts he murdered someone, he or his girlfriend, makes it even worse. They still gave it a touching tribute to him, but it lasted one segment and didn't have anybody come out there and talk about it. So for you to say that he's part of the that Mean Gene was a gigantic part of the fabric of WWE is absolutely true. But to act like you didn't have opportunities to bring Hogan back for that particular for different at different points, it holds no water with me. So I mean, it's everything you said. Like it's a complete con job. So I mean. And whether or not Hogan is actually really sincerely emotional, the fact that Gene is gone, like I'm sure he is, but like I don't really care. Like you did something really bad and you've not apologized for it. So like if we're going to treat so we're going to treat somebody, it's like if we're going to treat this in simplest terms as far as behavior, like a kid, like if a kid does something wrong and you don't sit down with them and talk and have a sit down conversation, hopefully they understand that what they did was wrong, and then hopefully they acknowledge and learn and move on, and then move on from there. Like, what's to assume that like anything has changed? And if nothing has changed, then why the fuck do you need them back on TV? Or also, like, you don't, not even why do you need them on TV? You don't need them on TV. Why do you even want them on TV? I mean, literally, is it just to pop a rating?
And those ratings have been.
He's not going to do that.
Yeah, and it's like they're bringing back all these people for the first Raw of the year. Like Cena's going to be there, Lesnar's going to be there. They're adding Hogan on top of this. I think Flair's going to be there. It's like, man,
they got a better chance with Cena on this show than Hulk Hogan. Like, what's the appeal? He's back. He talks. He leaves. He ain't setting up no future program. He ain't doing nothing of interest. We've seen at least there's some, hey, WrestleMania's coming up. What am I going to do? Et cetera, et cetera. There's literally nothing for him to do to come back.
This
is one of the reasons why you rarely see Ric Flair. This is why you don't see Ric Flair around a lot of times now. There's nothing for him to do unless he's pushing some storyline with his daughter or somebody else. There's not a lot to go on with.
Yeah, I think Hogan being back is just WWE wanting to wrap their arms around one of their legends and make sure they can make money off him forever.
Like, and that's cool if you want to make money off someone forever, but like, you just got a TV deal. You're getting like,
exactly
whatever. You're multiple millions of dollars a year from off of this Saudi Arabia deal. Even though like that's literally his blood money too. Like, how many times does WWE have to be a damn cold-blooded corporation or company or whatever, as opposed to like, doing things that are, one, morally right, or two, like gives them more goodwill for their fan base that's underrepresented.
They don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that, but it's like people need to stop trying to pretend that it's anything other than like just in cold-blooded capitalism. Like, I mean, that's fine, but like, don't try to sell me on the emotion of it. Bullshit. Like, this man has been manipulating motherfuckers. Like, this man has been manipulating motherfuckers 35 years, if not more, right? When did he buy the company off his dad? 83?
Like 1983.
Basically in 83, he brought in Hogan whenever I was a kid and started on WrestleMania. So that's like 35, 36 years ago. So, like, for you to tell me that a person that's manipulating the public for 35 years is actually like on some genuine heartfelt shit, like, get the fuck out of my face. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. Like, Hogan didn't need to be involved in this. No.
Yeah, like they've got all those people that they can bring back that were linked to Mean Gene, like Bret the Hitman Hart, like Shawn Michaels, like Ric Flair, like Triple H. He's not directly linked to him, but Triple H is like the bridge pretty much for everyone. And Kevin Nash, you can bring back Scott Hall, all the guys that were in WCW, Sting. You can bring back you have the choice of all these people, but no, we want to make this part of the Hulk Hogan. They can bring back
Steiner.
Yeah.
And Buff. Yeah.
But they want to make it part of this agenda. And you're gonna hear a lot of dissenting opinions elsewhere on the internet. Those people are wrong. Sorry.
Not even that they're not even just wrong. They're also insincere.
Yeah. And they're not listening.
Any of y'all get that Jesus shit tells y'all to forgive tweet? Because that's what I got.
Oh my God, I got someone in the comments that said this. This is obviously written by somebody who's never done anything wrong in their life and all this other.
Let me say this: don't talk to me about what Jesus will do when Vince McMahon made a storyline where Shawn Michaels teamed up with God.
Yeah. Also, let's move besides that point. Right? We talk about forgiveness, right? In order to forgive, don't you need to have an apology?
Yeah.
Oh! I didn't think of that. You insincere fucks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like.
But yeah, man. Thank you guys for listening to One Nation Radio here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Simon, let them know where they can find you.
As many of you know, I am a writer for Sportskeeda, so just look up my name, Simon Cotton. I'll be the first thing that comes up. Also, you can find me at Twitter at SGC Speaks. The pinned tweet will be something very interesting about where Stephanie McMahon said that WWE is going to become as big as Disney. So you'll get a laugh out of that if you go see that. Also, I'm determined to be doing more podcasts coming up. So my first big thing will probably be dealing with the Royal Rumble, I guess, because I'm not going to be watching the first Raw for obvious reasons. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on the show today, man. Make sure you guys check out all the other shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, The Outsider's Edge with Rance and Kyle, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Keepin It Strong Style. They have their big post-Wrestle Kingdom episode dropping. Grown Men Watch This Shit, Wilfred Watches, as well as the Omega Luke Wrestling Podcast. And, of course, I have, the new column out. Go show love. Go in the comment section and let motherfuckers know how ridiculous they sound. A lot of people out there telling on themselves like hoes. And so, I woke up and I woke up and the comment section was ablaze with nothing but charlatans, idiots, and gaslighters and racists that can all suck my dick from the back twice. Yeah, man. So, James, anything to add after that?
We might have some impending news for you next week. I'm gonna leave it at that. You took the cake.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. We out of here, man. Peace.
Later.
Catch you.